Hello guys, welcome to this video. So in this video, I just wanna talk about the future of humanity, future of humankind as a whole, and the recent transformations that we as an entire race are going through, and where are we headed, how to make it better or worse. And I'll discuss both of them at just a general discussion on the future of humanity, and we'll also cover a lot of important aspects of this, like artificial intelligence, the development of physics, and even something else, like probably this may not feel entirely online with AI or physics, but it's about the current generation, the attitude of the current youth generation, mental health issues, depression, anxiety. And I'll even cover. Like again, I don't have a well-written script, and a lot of people they advise me that probably I should have a well-written script, and I guess they're true. Because I guess all of them are right about that. But like I say, it's I don't have. I find it incredibly difficult to find the time for that. Because YouTube is not my profession, and I just record stuff when I have time. Right now, I'm in Pokhara, Nepal for my Christmas holidays, and this was my first foreign trip and first solo trip as well. I traveled here alone, and so it's night now. But I just felt like recording now because now I don't have a very good access to Wi-Fi, so I don't have. And it was supposed to be a holiday, so I'm just taking a break from all my usual academics and extracurriculars. So but yeah, so I have some time to record a video, but I don't have time to write a well-defined script and shoot a professional and make a I mean prepare a professional YouTube video, because after all I'm still on holidays. But yeah, I guess if you would I rant a lot in these videos. Probably I should say I speak nonsense in these videos, but even in some portions the nonsense should make sense if you have the time and patience to watch, and if not, it's totally okay. I cannot and I do not force you to watch, of course. So let's just get started. Like I just have a rough outline of what points to cover. Again, I don't have a well-written script, but like I was let's just start. First of all, if you look at the history of our civilization, humankind, humanity as a whole, well, the first question that strikes me, I'm not sure if this question is that important, or if this is the first question that should come to my mind. There is no should or should not. It's just the way I am. So whenever I think about the entire history of the human race, the development of the civilization as a whole, and especially the current scenario, I'm like, okay, you know, if I were to rerun the entire, like, suppose, how do we define humans, first of all, in very simple, very general terms? Let's just forget about all those complexities, psychological complexity, and this and that. Simply put, humans are like kind of living creatures with a pretty complex consciousness, a complex body with these organs and all. And the most important part for our discussion here is the way they behave. So of course, all humans are unique; they behave in their own way, but there are some basic fundamental kind of similarities, like our basic instincts, uh, our body's need for food and water, our need for, then our psychological uh, instinct, survival instinct, our always our our desire to survive, and the way our mind and body is programmed that way, and the way we evolve. If you look at the evolution of all humans, of course there are, each human is different in some way or the other from the next human, but there are some similarities. So I was like, just as a thought experiment, probably if I were to define the basic properties of a human, and just make some room for randomness in my code or something. Call it a code, just a computer simulation probably. And if I allow room for some randomness, which would probably take care of the genetic mutations, and if I just allow the system to evolve, probably I'll get different humans over a long period of time. And maybe I keep the number of entities in my code as the same as the number of humans of the planet, and just let it evolve, and try to artificially recreate some of the conditions in the world, natural conditions. Then will I get the same result if I do it again and again? The point I'm trying to make is the current state humanity finds itself in. Was this inevitable sooner or later? Yeah, maybe our actions brought us here sooner or later, but was this inevitable, or was it in our hands to prevent this? Or is it possible that it could have been even worse? That is the point. That's the question. Because if you look at the history of humanity, I think one thing is certain. Like, that's very obvious. That's the rise and fall of civilizations. it has been, I mean, no matter if you have a good strategy, a good leader, whatever, civilizations are not forever. They are bound to fall, and then new civilizations are bound to rise from the ashes. That's the way it has been. So, and there is no denying this fact. But the point I'm trying to address is there uh, how our actions impact whether we'll fall sooner, or I mean, how long can we prevent? I mean, can we push the fall farther and farther away? We know it's coming, and then if you look at the history of human civilization, the periods of transformation, they've always been important, and these are the periods when humanity is always at its at a very it appears like we're at a tipping point. Like if we let me give a simple example. Once we during the industrial revolution, people were initially did everything by hand. They used to knit those clothes and all by hand, but then came the handloom and machine and all these systems, and all the factories who employed the workers who just knit clothes and sweaters and stuff by hand. They were like, so there were riots, there were revolutions. They were like, they thought that our job will go away, we'll become unemployed. And yeah, in short term that was the case. They became unemployed because handlooms were pretty cheap. I mean, when you consider long term, the costs of operating a handloom was pretty cheap than the cost of paying so many workers who used to knit the clothes by hand. Then the handlooms were more efficient. They produced more number of clothes in a shorter period of time. So that was the industrial revolution. I mean, not just the handloom. There were steam engines and stuff. I'm just an example I'm giving. So during the periods of transition, people always feel insecure, and they're like about not just about unemployment, but about a lot of stuff. And they're like, okay, our jobs, maybe we'll not have our jobs and all. And there are revolutions and stuff. But I think it's this change, this transformation is inevitable, because it's a part of the evolution of civilization of human race, or I guess of any race, any conscious, any intelligent race as a whole. Because uh, on the long term, I don't think it affected unemployment. Although I'm not an expert on these issues, but I don't think because it only created new employment opportunities. Because after the industrial revolution, there was I mean, not soon after, but then there's this IT and all technological revolution, education, and I mean, uh, there's a lot of unemployment in the world today. But I don't think the a major reason for that is because we replaced like hand labor with handlooms. The physical the workers who knitted clothes by hand with handlooms. I don't think that is the reason of unemployment in today's world. I'm not denying that unemployment is an important problem in today's world, but so you get the idea. Uh, so right now, a lot of people are crazy about, oh, AI is gonna replace all of our jobs, and they have on a short term. That's a pretty valid concern. And short term, a lot of people will get affected. Maybe myself, or definitely. So I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I think it's important to admit, to acknowledge that this is in an inevitable part of a transformation. And uh, on the long term, maybe after 50 years, I don't know after how long, but probably we will again find solid ground. We will again find a stable, we'll find ourselves in a stable condition. Because we, meaning maybe not we personally, not personally, I, you, or our generation. Because it might be maybe our, like, say maybe 100 years or so, after 100 years or so, I don't know. But probably the transition period doesn't last that long according to history. But then again, because this is not I mean, there's no hard and fast rule. And I mean, this is a different kind of transition. Of course, it's and in some way it's even more huge than the industrial revolution or something. In some, probably, I mean, at least it could be that it feels huge now, but it's probably the same thing, I don't know. But yeah. So the thing is that there are a lot of indications in the world which might, point at like we are really headed for something serious, and that may be true. If you look at the wars, wars were not so frequent. There were a lot of, I mean, of course, World War I, World War II, most devastating wars in history, in human history, and they were in the 20th century. I mean, of course, but if you think about it, wars were not so frequent in the 20th century, in the past century. Then there were, like, we used to hear of conflicts and wars, pretty serious. Even, I mean, even after the World War II, we used to hear of pretty serious wars between specific countries. But that was like maybe once in a decade, or so. But now, especially if you look at the last few years, last 5 or 6 years, I don't know, maybe even a bit more. Especially recently, all of the, I mean, many of the countries in the world, there was pretty serious war going on, bombing, killings, and pretty, like, ruthless activities. And the world is in a state of turmoil, and the entire world, I mean, of course, not all the countries are directly involved in these wars, but it more or less affects the entire world. No point denying it. Affects, when I say affects, I mean affects economically and even affects mentally. This is something maybe we don't realize. Like, okay, there is a war going on there, and of course I'm not happy about it. There's nothing to celebrate, but how does it affect my mental health? But it does. I think it does in a way, because I mean, at least long term. Because if you see what I notice among today's young generation, and not just the young, I mean today's people, they have a habit of making a big fuss, a big issue out of every small thing. Like, if you look at, thankfully I don't use Instagram or Facebook or any of this those popular social media, even not even X, but I do use LinkedIn and YouTube. But I guess they're in some way, I mean, as of I mean they're still better than those. I don't know how long they'll be able to keep this up, because I mean you cannot put all the blame on the platforms, because but the people who are using the platforms, they're the same kind of humans. And but anyway, beyond all, I mean, if you just look at the news, and even the social media and all, the generation, today's generation, there are a lot of, they have a habit of, I think you'll be able to relate, even if you're one of them, if you're one of those, you know, influencers or whatever you guys call yourself. Look, I might sound rude. Look, that's not like, if you think you're a successful person in life, and just I mean, if you measure success based on the number of followers you have on Instagram or something, I mean, that's, I think you don't have it figured out. I mean, I don't care how much, I don't care about your bank balance or your popularity. I mean, of course, I do care about your popularity, but I'm pretty sure Instagram stars are, I mean, those kind of guys, they're popular among a short group of people. I mean, not short maybe, but among a group of people who themselves don't have stuff figured out. I mean, you're not popular among, in a respected group probably. So you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, let me just not start my rant on this, because a lot of my friends are watching this, and many of them are, you know, crazy about all this stuff themselves. I don't care. Anyway, but even if you will not admit publicly, even if you'll be able to relate when I say that today's population, today's generation has this habit of making a big issue out of every small thing, be it, maybe it's a small mistake on on someone's part, and you just make a huge story out of it. Like, maybe, you know, this they did this and it affected my emotional health, it was mental health, this is very crazy. People are like this, you should safeguard yourself, this can happen, that. So just come on. And they have a habit of sharing each and every personal story, just making a big story out of a small, probably a normal incident, and sharing it on social media. And apparently I thought, many of you probably do the same, that they do this for more views, more attention, more followers. Attention is one thing, but there is also one reason which we don't realize. I mean, even the ones who do this kind of stuff, they don't realize this is an unconscious reason. And that's because, look, it's okay, in today's trendy world, it's okay for young people, especially the ones who are not as witty, and they don't have people to guide them. It's okay for them to want more views, more followers, and just brag about that. But I guess this habit of making a small, I mean, if all of humanity hated this stuff, then they would not like this, they would not follow people who did this. They would, then probably people would be like, okay, let's make actually some good content about science or something, not necessarily science, but some good content about knowledge, and that would attract more followers. So I think the main issue is not about people do this to get attention, to get more followers. I mean, then the people who use this social media platform, I mean the audience, I mean, why the audience gives attention to this kind of stuff? So the audience is equally at fault. I shouldn't just say that people do this for more attention, but they're getting the attention and the audience is giving the attention. Why? So I think it's the main issue. This all comes down to our tendency of today's generation to escape. That's the main thing. This escaping tendency. Even the audience wants an escape from reality, and the people who, and they find an escape in the social media. Okay, let me just listen to this story. Probably deep down they know that this is probably false, this is probably a bit it's probably not as big an issue as it is painted out to be, but still they engage in those content, they like it, they comment it, and probably they get a reply from the one who posted it. They feel like, oh, we're so successful, I got a reply from them, I got a reply from that Instagram star, he has millions of followers. And but if you think about it deep down, it's all an escape from reality, it's an escape from life. And the ones who post this, they are deep down, I guess they are doing this for the same reason. It's an escape into a virtual world. Oh, I have so many likes, I have so many comments, I have so many followers, maybe I'm influencing people. I mean, it's not it's not meaningful influence. I mean, it's not influence in a good way. I mean, it's nothing to feel proud about, you know. And So I think that's one thing, and I think this also explains a lot about mental health issues, depression, and a lot of issues which today's youth are crazy about. They debate about this and that, and a lot of things that I think it doesn't even make sense to spend that much amount of time on these issues. But they paint this out to be very fundamental issues, very significant issues. But I think that is the problem with logic. You see, I envision a time. I mean, if things go on like this, and if I choose the dark path, I mean, of course, things could in the long term things could turn out in our favor or against us. I mean, we're at a tipping point. Right now, humanity is going through a transformative stage, and we're at a tipping point. So it could either tip this way or that way. I don't know. So if it tips the bad way, the darker way, I think there will probably come a time when people will have some logic for everything, and that's actually even I am usually perceived as this, and I am a physics enthusiast, and I even have you could even call me a logician because I try to do everything logically. But the problem with logic and civilization is that, I mean, the problem with logic and society or the human race is that if you try to find or apply this hard and cold logic at every place, at every aspect of your life, to justify everything you do, if you try to justify everything you do logically, then you're not really then. I mean, you meaning if most of the humans, especially today's young generation, if they continue doing this, then we're not really headed anywhere good. Because after all, if you think about it, beyond all of this logic and beyond all of this stuff, all of this competition and all of this stuff, we have to survive as a race. Because otherwise, if we are, I mean, no matter if I become successful, if you become successful, if we don't survive as a race, if our entire civilization collapses, then that success has no meaning. I mean it probably won't even survive that. So, and even if you do, then that success will lose all its meaning. Because in that case, right? So I think it's like yeah, I'm really losing track of things these days, or it's probably because it's late and I'm sleepy. uh, I don't know. So I was like where was I? Yeah. So we have this kind of escaping tendency, and like, because I mean, it's easier to get lost in the virtual world of Instagram or Facebook than face life as it is. And of course, facing life is even difficult in today's world because, like I said, we're in a transformative period. But I think, although it's difficult, that's what makes it more important that we pay more attention to ourselves and to humanity as a whole, and less attention to all those virtual and fake stuff, if you know what I mean. I'm sure it's not it's not as easy as it sounds, but you see, people have also what the impression I get is that people have become so self-centered and, like, you know, I mean, I'm not sure, like in Nepal, in this part of the world, I've met some people who are really down to earth and who are really genuine. I met a couple of friends, Nepali friends, boys of my age probably, and so one of them is training for the army as well. I mean, they're so down to earth, they're so genuine, and they're so pure at heart, and they treat you with such respect, and they give you so much. I mean, see, they have nothing to gain from me, not money, or I mean, they don't. None of them wants to pursue physics, so I cannot help them in any other way. So, and the people I know, the people I deal, most of the people I deal with, I mean, be it in college or in my other professional groups or anything, uh, the impression I get, and I mean, again, I have this, I already have this this kind of fame for just for dealing with things the way they are. I mean, not in a dramatic way. I mean, I hate drama, and the people who love drama hate me, of course. So I try to deal with stuff in a straightforward, direct way. And there are many moments I clashed with authorities. I clashed with authorities, meaning be it college authorities or my journal authorities, or I clashed with my friends as well. I mean, of course, if someone like me, if he doesn't care to clash with authority, why should he give a damn about his friends? Of course, I mean, anyway, I just use the term friends in a just as a figure of speech, because I think there is nothing called. I mean, if we take the dictionary meaning of friend, then I think friends don't exist. That's what I think. And I don't know. I'll touch upon this later in the video, but let me just finish what I was going to say now. People will only, at least in my experience, people will only treat you as a friend. I mean, people will only know, like, recognize you and give you time as long as they need you, not after that. I mean, once they, like, maybe it's before the exams when they want their doubts solved, or if, I mean, if they want something, some other help which I might be able to do. They're like, okay, I'm probably the way they act, the way they behave, the way they, the text they send, like, okay, I'm their everything. It's kind of and okay, I was fooled once, maybe once or twice, long time back, but not a fool now. So anyway, but yeah, after that, who is Arpan? I don't know who is Arpan. I don't know him. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, I'm not dependent on any of them for my anything. So I don't care. But yeah, once or twice, it felt bad initially, even though maybe a few years back, those incidents. But now I'm over that too, thankfully. And yeah, so point I'm trying to make is it's always cool to, I mean, it's people wonder how people from different fields get along so well. I mean, like, even I have a lot of friends who are not from physics, who have nothing to do with physics. Recently we say this Nepali friend who wants to go to the army, he has nothing to do with physics. Then I have a lot of online friends and even friends in person who are nothing to do with physics and all. And even I have even friends with people who are maybe say 45 or more years older than me. They're not my age. And people often wonder, they ask me like, how come you get along so well with these strange guys but not so well with your peers with who study physics? I think the answer is in the question. I don't get along so well with them because they study physics, because they're in the same line as me, so they have something to gain from me and I have something to lose to them, and that is why we don't get along well. But in case the two friends are from different fields, I mean, there is no give and take relation. It's not, okay, I have nothing to gain from you, you have nothing to gain from me, but both of us are human. I mean that's when this becomes apparent. Both of us are humans. We are just following our own paths. Maybe we can learn from each other, and that's when the friendship. So I guess if you think about it, it's not surprising why people from different fields get along so well, and people from same field often don't get along so well. And I'm like, okay, so like what I try to do, and I think a lot of today's generation should follow this advice, especially if they want to think about the future of humanity as a whole. But in that case, to make any noticeable significant difference to humanity as a whole, I mean, a lot of today's young generation should follow this. And I don't know, probably a few of you will watch this video, and I don't know if anyone who will be watching will be actually be able to follow this, because I understand totally, because to be able to build yourself like that, you need a lot of experiences in your life, a lot of bad experiences, lot of lot of incidents in your life. Otherwise, you need life to break you. Only then you can build yourself up in this way. It's not possible to become like this just by listening to me in a video. I totally understand. It never happened with me. I learned it the hard way. I don't think it's possible to learn it the easy way. But yeah, let me still tell you, because if you face hardships in life, then probably you'll remember this, and you can make the best out of your experience. I mean, it sounds crazy. This guy said make the best out of hardships, but yeah, that's what I mean. That's true. So I think it's always what I try to do is always keep your emotions a straight line. What I mean by that, you have looked. I guess you have looked at the ECG reports of the persons of the of patients, heart patients, or of just any ordinary person. So it's like up down, and this kind of thing, spikes and all. Or I mean, not just ECG reports, I mean, anyway. But I think so. Let's just assume that this straight line here, the kind of the baseline or something, the x-axis, probably the horizontal axis. Let's say that corresponds to no emotion, like indifferent. Okay. So if you go above, that means you're feeling high, you're feeling happy. If you go below, that means you're feeling depressed, you're feeling low, you're feeling down. So my logic is, if I allow my emotions to get very high, then automatically it will inevitably it will get low sometime or the other. Now, why? Of course, I cannot prove this mathematically, but the reason is obvious. If I allow my emotion to go very high, that means I am losing control over myself. I mean, suppose I get an say I publish my first book. That was a pretty great experience. Or say I come here in Nepal, and I meet a lot of foreigners, and after conversing and after coming to know, they appreciate my book, they appreciate me, and okay, that is cool. Or maybe suppose I do well in my college exams, I get accepted in some prestigious university. All of these experiences to feel pretty proud about, pretty happy about. But if I feel like really, oh, this is so cool, I feel so happy, let's go out and party. I mean, then if you think about it, you're actually letting go of your control. I mean, it need not be as bad as going out and party. Even if you feel very happy, and I'm just sitting around and I'm feeling very happy, even that is kind of letting go of my control, because happiness or any kind of emotion, if you think about it, this is pretty deep. So you have to try to understand this. Any kind of emotion is actually emotions arise when we are not in equilibrium. When we're in equilibrium, we don't feel anything. I'm in equilibrium. I don't feel happy. I don't feel sad. I don't feel angry. I feel nothing. That is the most perfect equilibrium would be death. But of course, I'm not asking you to die, of course. But even when you're alive, your nearest to equilibrium when you feel indifferent. But see, there's a difference. When I feeling indifferent is not equal to feeling depressed. Feeling indifferent means you're just going about your daily business like a robot, which I do, but you don't. But feeling depressed is something else. You're like, oh my god, I'm so sad, I'm so anxious, what's gonna happen in the future? That person doesn't love me, this person doesn't love me, nobody cares about me. Let me just open my WhatsApp and give a very long rant in my WhatsApp status, like I am unloved, I'm uncared. Probably someone will reply, and then if I don't get a reply, so my or I'm even more depressed. They don't People saw my WhatsApp status but nobody chose to reply. That is depression. Because if you think about it, you are not really indifferent. If you're indifferent, you would not have cared. Oh, who cares? But you're not really indifferent. That you are depressed in that case. You actually care. You care more than you should about what other people think about you, and that's what is you're depressed. But when I say indifferent, you're not. You're actually not even. That's. I mean, it might give you a feeling like a indifferent towards life. That probably that's depression. I'm not feeling my life. But and I think a lot of people will not probably advise you to live like a robot. I mean, what's the point? You are a human. Enjoy your life. But I would say, of course, enjoy your life. Even I am enjoying that. I could have shut myself up in my room and just studied or something. I mean, there is no end of knowledge. Even if I, but I chose this holiday, this short winter holidays, to visit a foreign country, interact with a lot of people, and I chose that. So I'm enjoying my life my own way. I'm not saying shut yourself up or that kind of thing or isolate yourself when I say feel indifferent. All I'm saying is don't let your emotions get too high. When I first came to Nepal, it's a foreign country, and there are moments when anyone else in my place would have felt pretty excited. When I saw the first view of the Annapurna range, that was so picturesque, that was so great, and the sunrise and sunset. I mean, that's what people travel for, to see beautiful places. And when they see beautiful places, if they don't go like, oh my god, if they don't appreciate it, if they don't feel happy, if they don't shout in joy, then what's the point? But my point is explore life, explore the world. Of course, that's what I'm doing. But don't feel too happy when it's even when there is reason to feel too happy, and that will automatically not allow you to feel too sad when there is reason to feel sad. I have felt it. I'm not just saying it like it sounds true, so it must be true. No, I have felt it. Because let me show you the logic as well. It's just like a system. Our mind is probably, you can think of it as a system with many interconnected parts, like probably it's a mechanical system. So if maybe you have a pulley system or something, just to give an example. So if you or maybe some kind of like something, maybe what do they call that, some screws or levers and screws, or some kind of ball bearings or something like that. So if you just maybe in the steering wheel of the car or something, I don't know, but if those kind of systems, if you just don't or maybe even the taps or something, if you handle it carelessly, I mean, if you just round like do it like this pretty fast and go on doing this, then there's a possibility that it will get damaged. It will not work anymore, like, right? So doing that fast corresponds to allowing your emotions to go high, and doing that means you are long term, you are compromising your control over your emotions. So even if you feel very happy, but allowing yourself to feel very happy means letting go, that means you are losing your control. So on the long term, if if there comes a time in your life when you feel down, then you will feel very down and you will not be able to control yourself then. But if you just handle it carefully, I mean, if you just in our case, it's just if you just handle your emotions carefully, don't whenever you're feeling happy, just, I mean, how do I do this? Of course, sometimes even I feel very happy, and sometimes even I feel very very sad. But how do I, whenever those situations arise, first thing I do is just turn off my phone, turn off my all these devices, and just close my eyes, give time to myself. No, Arpan, don't feel too happy. It's pretty happy. It's good news. Don't feel too happy. Don't feel too happy. There are still a lot of things that can go wrong. I mean, it's probably, I'm sound like a pessimist. Like, you have some reason to feel happy, then, and still you are saying that there are a lot of things that can go wrong. But I think this is required, because if you say yourself this, that there are a lot of things that can go wrong, then you actually don't allow yourself to get too happy. I'm not saying that you just, oh, there are a lot of things that can go wrong, so let's just cancel the plan, let me just sit quiet in my room, I'll do nothing, I'm finished. No, you will just go about doing your work, but don't feel too happy. Or if it's time to feel too sad, I'm like, Arpan, you're not allowed to feel too sad. Remember, You didn't feel too happy back then. You saved on your happiness, so you can spend that on your sadness to keep it level. Don't feel too sad. It could have been worse. It's worse with him, it's worse with her. It could have been worse. You are not really worse off. You can learn from this. You can do this. There is still chance. You are still in the running. Just whatever. I'm just giving an example, not any particular example. Just yeah. But and you always find writing down your problems or speaking to yourself, in the sense speaking aloud, not just like, even that's what I'm doing now, maybe recording it. But even when I don't record stuff, I speak to myself maybe 5-10 minutes, or if in some days if needed, maybe more than that, before I go to sleep. And the people around me, my parents, they one point they thought I was mad. Who speaks to themselves? My phone is off and everything. I'm not calling someone, but they can hear this noise from my room, like this someone's talking. But it really helps if you speak your thoughts aloud. Just argue with yourself. I just go on like this. Arpan, you did this great, but you should have done it. And then I say I play the other part as well. That's true, but it could have. But I still I think I did this right because I did because otherwise it would have been this. And then the other part is like, okay, but what about that? And this just goes on. It's like a self debate, and that really helps. I mean, a lot of us, probably even you, do that mentally, but I think if we just do the same thing, just speak it out aloud. Even this little change in our habits will probably work wonders. I mean, at least for me, it does. So that's the point. And so now I just try to maintain this straight line. Don't allow it to go too up, neither too low. And because then long term I have control over my emotions. Even in case of devastating situations in my life, I'll be in control because I have saved a lot on the happiness. I can just spend it now, so to not let it dip too low. I mean, there's a logic anyway. It's not like happiness or sadness and not physical stuff you can spend. I mean, not, of course you get the idea, but just a figure of speech. But it, I hope it helps. And I mean, yeah, when I was in school and all, I was like, when I went to social gatherings or something, or maybe in some school event or something, I was the one who was always left out. I mean, I was alone. People talked to me, of course. It's not like people didn't talk to me, but that was, now I get the impression that was probably because just to avoid acting rude. I mean, just as much as necessary. They didn't. But in the end, I always found myself alone in the corner. But all the other people, they're like in small groups of 3 or 4. I mean, nobody was alone like me. I mean, not in my school anyway. Of course, there are a lot of people like me in the world. I can relate. I know some of them as well. But the point is that, and initially, I will not deny, when I was in school, I tried my best to fit in. I used to even listen to the conversations usually people of my age had, and I used to uh, make crack jokes. Probably I didn't do a very good job, of course, by the looks of it. But I used to crack jokes, and I used to do my best to feel accepted, to fit in the group. When I was young, like maybe say for 13, 12, 13 years old. But from like maybe from when I was 16, especially after I was 17 or 18 from years old. From then I just stopped trying to fit in, and I just took started taking pride in standing out. I am different. Let me be different. I don't care about you, because and I think there's a reason for that. It's not like this change came about all of a sudden, because I started exploring my interests instead of spending my time trying to figure out the best jokes so that I'll be accepted in the group. And once I started doing that, a whole new world of possibilities opened up before me. Physics, journal, writing, publishing book, making music, and I mean that's what happens when you look inside and not outside. When you stop trying to fit in, when you stop trying to, go out with your friends and post and take photos and post WhatsApp status just to feel like everyone else. See, I also have friends. Who I mean, you're not under any obligation to show that, to post statuses with your friends just because everyone else is doing that. You see, so that is the point. I mean, so once you stop caring about, really stop caring about all of that and look inside. It's my life. Let me explore myself. Let me take pride in being myself. And that is when the people around you will automatically give you attention. When it happened in my case, but it's probably not the attention you were hoping for. It's not like, true friendship or genuine care or something, or love. I mean, even the people who appear close in groups, I don't think it's true friendship between them also. I mean, I have a lot of examples to cite here. I have a lot of. I mean, even the people who appear close out, they are those four are like inseparable friends. They are in a group. They always go places together. They always party together. They post statuses together. Now I'm this lone guy. But if you study that group closely, you'll see that even they are not real friends. Even they are not close friends. All four of them probably they hang around together just so that they feel accepted to their other network. They can show see, I have these three friends, I mean, all four of them, but deep down they are not really close, they're not really genuine, they're not really there for the other three when they need them. It's the same story with everyone. Although they don't look lonely, they're probably more lonely than you. I mean, they're not alone, but that doesn't prove that they're not lonely. And you, I mean, in my case, I may be alone, but I don't feel lonely at all. I mean, maybe there are one or two points in my life and I felt lonely, say, but 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 I have grown out of it now, thankfully, because when you see when you realize there's so much to do in your life, you will not even find the time to feel lonely. And I mean, people like I was saying, it's when you once you start to explore yourself, it will open up a lot of a whole new world of possibilities. And if you're lucky and if you're a little bit ready to put in a little bit of effort, and if you have a little bit of talent, and most importantly, if you're ready to disregard the convention and just explore your interest for some time, you will be able to do a lot of stuff in your life. Like in my case, I'm not bragging, of course, but in my case, I was able to I was able to do a lot of stuff which is not common for people of my age in my part of the world. I mean, in my country. I'm not just talking about publishing books. I mean, just founding my own journal, being a senior physics editor of an international peer-reviewed UK-based journal, uh, mentoring so many students. And it's not just publishing a book, but to my surprise and to my, I mean, and contrary to my expectations, the book has sold pretty. I mean, it's not a bestseller or something, but a lot of people have read the book. They email me, they give me feedback, and I mean, this is all I could ask for at this age. And then research fellowships and all. But the point is, uh, having done all this, it's not like I'm so popular, I have a lot of friends. No, people give me more attention than previously because they need me, or my help. But none of my friends, except I'm not sure if any of them, probably, but even most of them, I'm definitely sure they actually uh, care about me, and they try to, and they really want, when they care about me and not my, not what I mean, not what my word can do, or not the ways I can help them, but they care about that, but they don't care about me. That's the impression I get anyway. And I'm not usually wrong in this when it comes to these, because I have had a lot of experiences, bad experiences regarding this. So, but it doesn't affect me anymore, and that's the difference. It doesn't affect me anymore because right now I don't want to be accepted in any case. Because right now, the way I look at it, if I'm accepted in a friend group, if somebody starts really caring about me, then I would feel bad if I am not being able to give some time to that person. But if I have to give time to some other person, that's a waste of my time, because I really haven't found anyone who is maybe one or two, but they're not people I correspond with regularly. I mean, the people I correspond with regularly, maybe at colleges. So far, I haven't been able to find anyone who's on the same, who's on this, who shares the same intellectual curiosity as me. There are a lot of people who does way better than me in exams, in conventional exams, in I mean, in the conventional stuff, or yeah, I could say even in academics. But they, and there are also some of my friends who are really interested in what I'm interested in. But I so far I haven't found someone with whom I can discuss stuff and feel, and in a way that's intellectually insightful and stimulating to me. I've not found that. I mean, it's I find more insights. I'm able to gain more insights and find it a more intellectually stimulating discussion if I just discuss with myself. I'm just talk aloud. That's what I was talking about a few minutes back. So, but the the cool thing about this is that I no longer want to be accepted. In fact, if people don't accept me, but as a true friend, but they just want to, just kind of uh, try to grab my attention when they need me, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, that's cool, because I don't need to give you extra time. I can give more time to myself, and I feel happy about it. And of course, I treat people, I don't treat people in a pretty good way. I mean, these kind of people, not people in general, because especially because now I know, now I can recognize who the real ones are and who the fake ones are. And I'm like, I know what you're here for, and let me just tell you, I'm gonna help you. Just take this and leave me alone. That's my attitude now. Just leave me alone. I don't, just, if you need my help, just tell me directly. I will not ask for anything in return, but just a request, cut out the drama. I have had enough drama in my life. No more drama, please. That's my attitude. And most people, I mean, anyway. So, but I have, you see, even in my journal, if some of the authors who submit article, they ask me to, like, maybe if I can publish, if I can get their article published sooner than usual, because they're applying to universities, they would like to list that on the CV. I There are just an example, but there are many examples when I went out of my way to help the authors or even the junior editors who work in my team, because right now I'm senior editor. And like for instance, I said that okay, it may not be possible for me to get your article published by this soon on this short notice, because that is the publishing an article on our website. I mean that is taken care of by the website team, not by the editorial team. So I have no say. I mean I could of course try, but I cannot guarantee. But I could have just told this and stopped there. But I told that since you're applying to universities, I can apply for us. I can arrange for a supporting document in an official journal letterhead with our signature stamped and everything, where I can mention your name and the article title, and I can say that this document, which is being issued on your request, we can confirm on behalf of this of the journal that we have received your submission and it has passed the initial, final, and the academic review, and it's just awaiting publication. That should be fine with the universities, because then they just have proof that okay, so this article was actually is actually accepted for publication in a peer-reviewed international registered journal, and that should be enough. I mean, this was not required, and I did this for many one or two authors, and it's, when it comes to giving recommendations and all this kind of thing, I don't usually. I mean, I never kind of even if it's from someone I know, someone who has betrayed not betrayed but someone who has not treated me well in the past, even then I give, because what I find is that playing these kind of cheap tricks and trying to suppress people's success, what some people around me try to do with me, I don't think it really helps. Okay, I mean probably I could have not given you this letter, I could have not given you that permission or in the journal or thing, but that way, or I could have tried some other way of suppressing you, but that way I only make a fool of myself, I make a bad reputation of myself. And even after helping people a lot, even going out of my way to help my juniors at times, I don't think I'm really at a worse position. I don't think I'm worse off because of that. On the contrary, I think I'm better off, because I have in many of these cases I have gotten the reward, maybe not immediately but sometime later. It's true, but it's not always possible to measure. I mean, that's what I was saying. Yeah, let me just come back to this point one more time. If you try to apply logic everywhere in your life, there will probably, I envision a time, there will come a time when people will find some logic to justify every action. I mean, maybe it might sound crazy now, and that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, but maybe probably after 50 years or so, if things go on like this, maybe a person will murder another person and find some logic to justify that. And if the civilization gets its head around this kind of logic only, and forgets the basic this the call of humanity, what you can say, then even the judicial system and even the justice system will get fooled in with logic, and probably, I don't know, you see what I'm getting at, probably murder will be legal, people will do whatever the hell they want, and just find some logic to justify their actions, and then after a point the civilization will, all the human race as a whole will get uh, cannot take it anymore. Like, what's the meaning of life? Just people that just going about doing whatever they want. Everyone is confused. We cannot. I mean, the confusion will be so much that you cannot even challenge a murderer because he has some logic. And I mean, and if people just try throwing logic to everyone, that's not the way a civilization can exist harmoniously. So I think if this turns out to be true, I mean if this happens after a few decades, then we are headed for a nihilistic outbreak. By nihilistic outbreak, I mean then the entire civilization will get fed up with everything and say that and cannot take this fact anymore that life is meaningless, and then they'll probably get fed up with truth, with knowledge, and they'll probably hide in a new dark age or something, or they'll probably destroy themselves. Either way, this future doesn't look bright. If we but today the way today's generation try to justify their actions, even when it's not required, even when we don't, I mean even when society doesn't ask for a justification, this all shows how insecure we are, and how badly we want to escape the system. We I mean For some it may be gaming, for some it may be uploading reels on Instagram, but all of this or for some it may be making hugely inflated stories out of small issues. But all of this show that we want an escape from the system. None of us are brave to take responsibility, and I see none of the people around me who are, they always try to justify. Suppose if they do this, even in the journal or stuff, if they do some mistake, hi Arpan, I'm really sorry to bother you this late, but I am sorry I couldn't attend the meeting yesterday night. This happened. Come on, I'm not asking for any explanation. I'm not asking for any justification. It's okay if you didn't attend the meeting. There could be exams. It could be holidays. There are a lot of reasons, but but they don't, I don't find a single people who texts me like, hi Arpan, I couldn't attend the meeting, sorry for that, I'll definitely try to be in the new next meeting. Just a simple, pretty straightforward text, no drama. No, it's like, I'm sorry, this happened, that happened yesterday night, I really wanted to be in the meeting, I'm sorry. Why try to justify yourself? You have insecurities, but I'm not asking for any justification. It's rather, I would prefer if you are ready to accept responsibility. It's my negligence, it's my mistake, I couldn't attend the meeting yesterday night, I will try to do it, I will try to be in the next meeting. That's all. Finished. And even like I'm, even I suffered from depression at one point. At one point, meaning maybe 2 or 3 years back, not very long ago. 2 years back maybe. And there are small signs of depression even maybe 1 year back. But right now, thankfully no. And I won't say. It's, I won't say like my life is pretty going on well now, because yeah, maybe I'm doing better than, even objectively, if we just try to analyze, even if I just remove the emotions and analyze objectively my achievements or thing, probably I'm doing better than before. But my life is in general not better than it was now, and in some ways it's more worse, in the sense it's way more hectic, and there are times I feel overwhelmed, but still I'm able to deal with it without feeling anxious or depressed, because I have grown stronger. I mean, like I always say, the clouds never pass. The cloud will never pass. Bad times never pass. We become accustomed to bad times, and we become more ready to deal with it. So it appears good to us, but the bad times never pass. That's what I feel like. It's a pretty negative way to put it, but that's true. I mean, either way, it's the same thing. If you get accustomed to bad bad times, it's okay. It's the same thing. Then, I mean, you live either way. You know what I mean? Bad, good, all of this is anyway subjective, relative. So, and like when I was what I was saying is, yeah. So right now, even now, I mean, but I don't feel depressed anymore, because I at least have tried to develop. Maybe there are times I cannot follow this, but I tried to develop this attitude that I will take responsibility openly of my problems, of my faults, as well as of my depression. I will not say I'm depressed because this happened in my life. I'm depressed because, okay, he's happier than me or she's happier than me. I'm depressed because I put in so much effort but I didn't get the results I wanted. No, that's I don't want to complain, and I hate people that do the same. I am depressed because probably my mind is it's a fault of my mind. My mind is not at the position to take this, but I will not project my depression on anyone around me. I will not. I'll just maybe just give me some break. Give me a break. I'll be fine. I can deal with it myself. But it's my fault. I acknowledge this right now. That is my attitude. I'll not give excuse like, oh, I'm depressed because this happened with me, but this happened when it didn't happen with you, so I have right to feel depressed. No, I don't have that kind of insecurity that I will try to justify each and everything I do. I don't care. Maybe there are a lot of things I do which probably don't make sense, and even I recognize that there are some things I do which probably are pretty, uh, what should I say, rude or kind of bold in the sense, yeah, bold. But and people are like, I did this because I felt like doing it, and because it felt right to me. If you want, I can share my logic with you, but I'm not gonna trumpet it on social media to justify my actions. That's my attitude. And what was the best you can do? Fire me from the channel? I mean, we don't get paid, but this is an honorary position. You can do that. My life doesn't depend. I mean, it's always good to be a nihilist, because then you can grow this kind of attitude that nothing matters in the end, because all our problems are pretty insignificant, uh, before the great universe. And I mean, on a grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as you can just scrape enough for your living, doesn't matter if you're doing a bit better or a bit worse. On the long run, I don't think, it's always good to build that kind of attitude. If you cannot build, then of course it matters a lot. Oh, that person got, so suppose I got this much of amount of grade, say this much amount of CGPA in college, in my college exams, and that person got maybe say point 0.1 more than me. Oh, that's a huge headache. Oh my god, what to do? There are people like that, I know. But yeah, that sounds funny to, that sounds crazy to people like me, who like, how does it matter in the grand scheme of things? But I don't know. People can be pretty blind, and it's no good trying to make them understand it. It will never that's why I say it's always good to, people don't care about you in general. People don't care about you whether you laugh or whether you cry. So it's better to laugh and enjoy, live life your own way, instead of crying and relying on people's sympathy, because even if you cry, people will not give you sympathy. Maybe one or two will do it for the first few days if they're really good, kind at heart, but after that even they will get busy with their lives, or they will get irritated or fed up with you. All one or two will do that just because for their own benefits, if you are someone powerful or someone, if they need you. Otherwise, on the long term, nobody will nobody will give any attention even if you cry, and of course they won't if you laugh. So I mean, it's better to laugh in that case. Logically, yeah. Just so I usually don't get depressed like I used to be, and I'm pretty cheerful most of the time now. And people are like, okay, probably I'm doing pretty good in life. Actually, not. If you look inside, I'm still, there are a lot of insecurity. I mean, I'm not saying insecurities, but there are a lot of problems. There are a lot of dilemmas in my life, whether to choose this area of physics or that, and that's not actually a life-threatening problem or anything, but that's a big decision which can get a lot of students anxious. And not just this, there are a lot of problems like homesickness. I'm not totally over it yet, but I'm trying to get over it. Then there are a lot of other issues, personal problems. Personal means as in not relationship problems, or any friendship. As you already know, I don't care about those. But problems like sometimes I feel this kind of existential crisis. I mean, I won't say it's a crisis or something, but yeah, there are. I mean, if you look inside, it's not really cheerful or happy down there. But although I look on the outside, I'm happier than before. But if you look inside, it's also not as sad as it used to be. Like I said, it's straight line, indifferent, and that was my intention. So yeah, in that regard, I'm successful in this, and so I think I'll just end the video now after discussing one or two points. But and I mean, you see, if even if you think about the development of science, because since this video was supposed to be about the development of about the human race as a whole, and most of the things I said are probably relevant to that. I'm not sure. I mean, but you know, like yeah, like if you think about the development of science and especially physics and all, they're like how to put it, this artificial intelligence and all, there have been a lot of development in this side of things, the applied science, the technology side, and AI and all, but there have been no development in fundamental physics. But when I say fundamental physics, like look at 1900 and 1925, the early 20th century. In 1900, physicists felt like scratching their heads over black body radiation and ether. Like people were like, oh, Michelson-Morley experiment, ether. By 1905, just 5 years later, we had Einstein's theory of relativity, which banished the idea of ether. And I mean, that was a special theory. We didn't have the general theory yet, but it explained the quite a bit, and without needing any extra physical extra constant like the ether, because the ether it was just kind of made up. I mean, it was not elegant addition to a theory. And by 1915, we had Einstein's general relativity, which explained gravity in a whole new way. And then it was by 1918 or 1920, I don't remember the exact year, we also got pretty good experimental verification of general relativity. And by 1925, we had developed much of quantum mechanics, which explained blackbody radiation. There was the blackbody radiation, then there was Planck's law of quantum equals hf, and then there was Einstein's theory about photoelectric effect. And by 1925, people like Heisenberg and Schrodinger have started working on uh, mathematical formulations of quantum mechanics, matrix mechanics for Heisenberg, and wave mechanics for Schrodinger. And by 1927, we had the Schrodinger's wave equation as well. So in those short 25 years, physics has gone from, I mean, in the 1900s, people were like under the impression like there is probably nothing much to do in physics. We already know classical physics by, I mean, we all already know Newton's laws of motions, which is enough to explain gravity. That's what people thought then. And we already know Maxwell's laws of electromagnetism, which is enough to explain the electromagnetic force. And there are some physicists like Einstein who look beyond, and they try to unify gravity with electromagnetism. And because these are the only two forces that were known back then, the other two forces, the strong and the weak nuclear forces, were discovered only much later. But in 1925, people were like, oh my gosh, there was so much more to the universe. Quantum theory is something entirely different, and then we have gravity. Even gravity is not fully described by Newton's theory. We have GR for that, general relativity. But on the contrary, look at 2000. Even in 2000, we were like scratching our heads over a theory of quantum gravity, trying to reconcile quantum mechanics with general relativity. And even in 2025, I mean, it's 2024 end, so it's almost 2025. We are we have not, I mean, we are no better in that aspect. We still don't. There are a lot of theories, a lot of mathematical tricks and stuff, but we don't yet know for sure if there exists a theory of mathematically consistent theory of quantum gravity, and if yes, then we haven't yet been able to discover it yet. There have been remarkable discoveries in experimental side. The discovery of the Higgs boson in 2012 or something. Yeah, I mean that was within this 2000 to 2024. But that's experimental. That's a success of experimental physics, and that is a good validation of standard model. But standard model was discovered back in the 1960s or something. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. But and then there was this huge development in the technology and artificial intelligence and machine learning, and that has also boosted, given a huge boost to fields like astrophysics, and even biophysics, complex systems where we use a lot of computer simulations, computational stuff, computational physics. But doing all those, maybe astrophysics stuff, you just study some specific phenomena. I mean, there are also a lot of theoretical astrophysics if you go into that. They try to deal with some fundamental questions as well, but mostly I get the impression, I may be wrong, of course, because astro is not up my alley, but I get the impression that astrophysics is more about most of the research projects and the experimental one. They just collect data in the telescope and just do this and that. They just try to deal with a specific problem or thing. It's not like trying to understand the fundamental nature of reality like we theoretical physicists do. I mean, I'm not a theoretical physicist, of course, but that's what I want to be when I grow up. Like, I mean, you get the idea. And then there is also, I think it's also important for any kind of physics to try to find the interconnectedness, because the way we usually approach theoretical physics and quantum gravity is through quantum field theory, and or maybe it's like string theory and all those mathematical perspective, and we deal with these elementary particles and fields and symmetries and all. But and the way we the people who are studying complex systems, that's also one of my interests. I mean, that's actually, I'm in a currently dilemma whether to pursue complex systems or this. But I probably will explore both of them in my life. Maybe I have to decide only on one, of course, for my masters and PhD. But after that, I'll explore both of them, because that is what I was saying. It's also important to try to find the overlap or intersection between all these fields, because ultimately it's all physics, and it's all more generally speaking, it's all science. It's all a quest for truth, quest to understand the universe, understand the world around us. So if, it would also be a good idea to try to figure out, because the in complex systems physics, we take a whole different approach. We study emergent phenomena, and we use the laws of complexity, some laws of chaos theory maybe, and we study the system as a whole. I mean, even the approach is different from what we do in quantum field theory or particle physics, theoretical particle physics, high energy physics, and stuff. So it would also probably be a good idea to try to see why different approach and how to kind of like not exactly reconcile them, because they deal with even different questions, but how to see if the physics, if the fundamental physics of quantum gravity or something, if we can arrive at the complex, the laws of complexity from there, if we can build it up from there, or if we can go down from the laws of complexity, we can go down to the fundamental laws. That would be a good thing to do. And that would only be a good confirmation, because if we see that, yeah, that we can do that, then that would be a confirmation of this one, the universe follows maybe some fundamental mathematical structure or something. I've talked about this a lot in some of my previous videos as well, recent previous videos, so I won't go deep into this here. But I'm like, what's the purpose of science? If you're studying science because you love science, then the purpose of science is to this quest to explore the unknown and to understand the world around us. So if you're always into exams and grades and stuff, then you're safe in the system. Of course, if you have good grades in science, you'll get a good job in academia or in industry. But then you're just that defeats the whole purpose of science. Although you were safe in this system, if you follow that path, but you are that defeats the whole purpose of science. Purpose of science is to go out and explore, to be unsafe intentionally. I mean, here by unsafe, I mean unsafe by the system. That means maybe not give too much focus on your grades or CGPA, but also explore topics beyond your curriculum. That's what I mean here. Unsafe doesn't mean going hiking or going trekking, or going to the Mount Everest base camp or something, of course. But that's the whole point of science. And I mean, uh, see, ultimately you will be remembered for what you did different from the rest. You will not be remembered for your CGP or for your grades. But yeah, of course, CGPAs do matter if you want to get into a good university, or if you want to get do some good research, because that is the way the system is built, unfortunately, and it's too late to change it. It's kind of the way we have been continuing. It's too late to change it now, I guess. Maybe a change will come about, but for that we need a collapse or something. I mean, it's not anytime soon anyway, and it's probably not gonna come the easy way. But anyway, so the system is built in such a way that you cannot ignore your grades or CGPA entirely. But I mean, if people are so much into CGPA that they are afraid of maybe losing 1 mark in the exam, then how can they develop these minds? How can they ever be the develop that courage it needs to explore the unknown? if they're even afraid to lose a single mark in one college semester exam or something. That's my point, because that is, like I always say, that is what separates a genius from the ordinary people. it Every one of us more or less have talent and the ability to work hard. So it's not hard work and talent can make you successful in a conventional sense, but if you want to do something entirely different, like the genius category, then hard work and talent is not enough. Everyone has it more or less. Then the thing that separates a genius and the ordinary people is, in my opinion, it's this if it's your ability to do what you want, regardless, even if everyone around you is discouraging you, the system is trying to suppress you, but even then, just do what you want. You should have the guts to take risks, and more importantly, you should be ready for failure, because of course this does not pay off always. It's not a movie, so you should be ready to fail at times. I mean, you should be ready to fail. That probably this will not work, but you should actually be ready to fail, because it's not like a movie. It will just, things will click the first time you try. But that's important. A lot of the successful people, genius people, they didn't get it right the first time, but they never gave up. Never giving up is part of hard work and perseverance, and also talent to be able to do it consistently. But like I said, those come later. The most important thing is to have the guts to think something what has never been thought before. Okay, I'll do it. People around us saying, no, it's not possible at your age, you cannot do this, just shut up. I told I'll do it, so I'll just try doing it in any case. No matter what happens, I'll try doing it. I'm ready. Inwardly, I'm ready for a failure. I'm not expecting to succeed, but I'll try doing it. I don't care. Even if that means compromising on the conventional measures of success like grades or stuff. That's what it takes. And I mean, that's the see. If you focus on grades, it was, like I said, it was safe by the system, but that defeats the purpose of science. Airplanes are built to fly high up in the clouds in the bad weather. That the airplanes are built that way. Even if a lightning strikes the airplane, the passengers inside are not affected because of the Faraday cage. It only in the metal body of the aircraft. The lightning is stays. It doesn't enter the inside of the aircraft. And then the pressurized cabin and everything. The airplane is built to fly in adverse weather conditions. An airplane is not built to be in the airport just as a showpiece. I mean, then we didn't have we could just build a single one of them and keep it as a museum. Then there would be no need for an airport, just a museum probably. Although the airplane is safe in the airport, of course, that when an airplane is in its airport hangar, it's safer than when it's up in the sky. I mean, so although if you just focus only on your grades and everything, you are safe by the system, but that's not what science is meant for. That's science is meant for. So if you're studying science for the love of science, then see, do science to know, not to show. Not to show people, see, I have these grades, you don't have it. Do science to know. And I don't think it's possible to really gain that kind of knowledge and mindset if you focus only on grades. For that, you have to go out and explore beyond your curriculum. See, and with this note, I would like to end the video. And before I end, I would say, like, of course, it's pretty disheartening. I mean, and maybe discouraging to see that, to know that, or to think about the fact that mm, there has not been a lot of development in theoretical physics, or I mean, not a lot of development in the fundamental sciences in the last several last decades. I mean, it's not, of course, it's a shame when we consider the development in physics from 1900 to 1925, and from the first quarter of the 20th century to the first quarter of the 21st century. I mean, we still have 2025, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, things probably not going to change that much. But I mean, but I think the bright side about this is that this still means, I think it's not because today's physicists are dumb. And I mean, if I ask you why so quick, so fast progress in physics during the first quarter of 20th century, but almost no progress in the fundamental theoretical physics in the first quarter of the 21st century, what would the answer be? Because the physicists today are fools, they are dumb, they are dumber than the physicists then. No, that's not the reason. Because the more and more you know about a field of study, the more difficult it becomes to gain further knowledge. Because the more you know, then you already now you know all. See, when you're just studying it, first you just get to know the basics, and that's pretty easy. But once you know the basics, you try to dive even deeper, and then it goes on. But once you're very deep, it's very difficult, since you already, to be honest, we know a lot about physics already. I mean, of course, there is probably a lot more to know. We don't even know how much there is to know, but still, I guess it's impressive whatever we have known. The progress in the last few years is not impressive at all, but overall, if you consider the knowledge of physics we have gained as a human, collectively as the human race, It's pretty impressive. And I think it's precisely because since we have gained all of this knowledge and now it's more difficult to gain even more knowledge. But the bright side is that this might be an indication of the fact that we are reaching the edge of knowledge, we're reaching the limits of knowledge. And this is a kind of the transition period when probably we'll go to some entirely new level and gain some entirely new insight. And I find that idea incredibly exciting. I don't know how close we are, but let's keep trying, because a lot of people are like, okay, this is pretty complex. I mean, humans cannot know everything. This is a very complex system. How come I can explain a system with so many interacting parts and all using physics? But here's the thing. It's not actually, although of course it's complex, but uh, as you go on getting because a physical system, no matter however complex, it will have a finite number of degrees of freedom, to put it in a technical term. So once you know, go on discovering, go on studying the system and gain some insights about some of its parts, then automatically, without even having to study the other parts, you can predict some of the other parts. And like this, soon it all collapses. I mean, it's not like, not a linear graph, it's non-linear. I mean, once you start studying the system, the knowledge you gain grows exponentially after a certain limit. I mean, it's non-linear. And maybe we'll not live to see it in a lifetime, but I mean, if we just if we all like, oh, it's not possible to understand that, so let's stop trying, then there will be no progress at all. So we should all keep trying to understand. Like for instance, let me give a simple example. If there are 10 constraints, I mean 10 variables in a system, and if you can prove that one of them is a constant, or two of them depends on each other, like maybe there are 10 variables, there are say 8 variables, and the other two are x and y, and maybe if you can prove somehow that x is equal to 3y, then that means if you know the value of y, then you automatically know the value of x. You just multiply y by 3 and you get x. You don't need to know the value of x separately. So that means you effectively reduce the number of variables to 9 from 10, because now y is no longer a variable, it depends on x. Or the other way around, x is no longer a variable, it depends on y, because if you know the 8 those 8 variables and any one of x and y, you can predict the other. And then maybe you can suppose you get to prove that out of those 8, the 4 are symmetric to the other 4. So if you know, suppose, just an example, arbitrary example, suppose you prove that if the four of them are abcd, the other 4 will have to be minus a, minus b, minus c, and minus c. They are symmetric in that sense. They are the, like, arithmetic, I mean the additive inverse. So in that case, if you know four numbers, say 1 2 3 4, then you automatically know the four other numbers. So there are 10 variables. I know 4 of them, 1 2 3 4. That means minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 have to belong to this 10 variables as well. So I know 8 of them. And the other two, okay, oh, I know x equal to 3y. So let me just do some more research. Okay, y comes out to be 7. So then x must be 21. 3 into 7 is 21. So now you know everything. But technically, you found out 5. 4, the 4 original numbers, and just the value of y. The other 5 automatically came out of it. Just an example. So although initially you're like, oh, 10 variables, how am I supposed to know the value of 10 variables? But studying the system might reveal some intricate symmetries or something which will probably reduce the number of variables. I mean, this is an example, but it might happen with complex systems as well. If you go on studying, maybe you'll be able to find some interconnectors between the parts, and and probably will be able to gain a full understanding in due course of time, even if might appear impossible now. I mean, let's always keep exploring. Let's not stop exploring. We don't know how soon, or yeah, or whether we'll be able to find a full explanation. But of course, that's no reason to stop trying. And so yeah, like I said, I find that incredibly exciting that we are probably at the age of knowledge. And although humanity is in a period of transition and transformation, and like I say, we're really at a tipping point at very unprecedented times. But I think it's not entirely. I mean, I think even if, although we are probably at an unprecedented time in the history of the human race, uh, I don't think it's over for us. There are, I mean, the way things are going, it doesn't look very helpful. Uh, it could be, we could be headed for a nuclear war. We could be headed for this. We could be headed for that. The climate change could destroy the planet. A lot of things could happen, but I think it's still possible in our power, if at least a good amount of human, I would say a good percentage of the world population recognizes the fact and takes the necessary actions. I think it's entirely possible for humanity to save itself and even a bright future, because, like I said, we're in a transition period, so we can come out better or we can come out worse. This can break us or build us. Uh, like the industrial revolution, and a lot of transition periods in the history of civilization. I'm not a historian, and I don't know much about it, but you get the idea, right? So I think we can still be optimistic about the future, that even although we're in a transition period, if we take see who we become is up to us. There is nothing called destiny. It's like there are this group of people who like civilizations rise and fall, so let's just sit quiet and just wait for a destruction. Come on. In that case, it will definitely, there will be destruction. And then there's this group of people who are like, oh, so up, like so pessimistic. I know this so much. And then there is the other group who are like, I'm pretty optimistic for the future. I know the humanity will do great. Let me just sit quiet and just watch it happen. No, you have to do. You have to put in some effort. And who we become is up to us as a whole. What we do as a whole, that is gonna define us. That's either gonna break us or that's gonna build us. So it all depends on us. We should be optimistic, but we should, at the same time, we should actually work to make that happen, and not just, let's be optimistic and it will automatically happen. Or let's just maybe pray to God or something, or not that kind of thing. So yeah, although we're at unprecedented times in history, I think it's pretty exciting times to live in, because what happens at this intersection is poised to change who we are as a race. But in the end, yeah, who we become is up to us. So that's what I want to say. See, first of all, we need to get a good understanding of everything. I mean, it's not possible for a single human to get a good understanding of everything. We should have a deep understanding of our own field. It may be physics for me, it may be something else for you. But other than that, we should try to gain a general understanding of the human nature as a whole and stuff. See, I always say there are four levels of understanding, and you should, when in life, whenever you're learning anything new, it need not always be a course, university course or something, or a language. When I say learning anything, it could be any kind of learning. You should prioritize like how far to go. Like suppose for me, since I'm into physics, I have kind of devoted my entire life to physics. For physics, I mentally have a target to reach up to level 4. Like I said, there are four levels of understanding in my mind. That's how I define four levels of understanding. And level 1 is the most basic level of understanding, and level 4 is the highest level of understanding. So for physics, I target to reach until level 4. I mean to go deepest. But it's not possible to reach that level. I mean, it's not even wise to try to get a good understanding in a lot of things, because too many cooks only spoil the broth. My brain power is limited, my time is limited, so I have to prioritize. Now I also have this interest in artificial intelligence and this kind of stuff. But there I have decided to go up to level 2, or if in the future time permits, level 3. But I'm pretty sure, but I don't want to go to level 4, because I don't want to pursue that as a profession. So that would be, I mean, there are times when you need to prioritize, because you don't have infinite amount of time in your life. Then I'm also really interested in music production, and I also produce music, like personally. And I also release songs and songwriting and stuff. But when it comes to music production, I don't have any intention of going beyond level 2. Even level 2 should be enough for me, because it's not my profession, it's my hobby. I just do it when I feel like it. But yeah, for physics, level 4. So what are these four levels of understanding? The level 1 is what? It's like, you just come to know something new, and you're like, okay, what is this thing? Let me just the definition. I mean, not necessarily the definition, maybe a bit more than that. But by what I mean, just a superficial description, not an explanation of how it happens, but just what is the phenomena. Like, to give a simple example, second law of thermodynamics. If you The level 1 understanding of second law of thermodynamics would be just the statement, like entropy of the universe increases, or the Rudolph statement, the Clausius statement, like all those technical, like heat reservoir. It will, I mean, things will things don't. I mean, entropy disorder. Just the statement. That is the level 1 understanding. What I know, what the second law of thermodynamics. I know what the second law of thermodynamics is. That is the entropy of the universe over the universe must increase with time. There are a lot of ways to put it. I don't remember the exact terminology of the Clausius or the Rudolph statement, but this is the thing basically. The level 2 is how. How is not what was a superficial description, and how is like it explains the phenomena, but in terms of known logic, in terms of known knowledge. So in case of the second law of thermodynamics, level 2 understanding would be how understanding. That means I know what it is, and I also know how it came to be. So yeah, it's probably it's a fundamental of the universe. None of us knows how it works, but yeah, we can mathematically show, like all those, delta S is the entropy, Q is the heat, and we can show why delta S should be greater than 0. And if we know the mathematics, then we can say that we have a level 2 understanding of the second law of thermodynamics. Because we know the mathematics, we can show why this should be true. But to show this, we have actually used known knowledge. Like we know that delta Q is heat, we know this, we know that, we know this law of physics, we can apply that. That is what I'm saying. Level 3 understanding is why. why the second law of thermodynamics is the way it is. What would happen if the universe? No, I mean, why level of understanding when it comes to second law of thermodynamics? It would probably come to like because since the universe is expanding, and that is because of the Big Bang and all. So the number of possible, I mean, just an example. It's probably you cannot explain the second law like this. It's a fundamental of the universe. But just to give an example, probably second law of thermodynamics was not the best choice to show you the four levels. But anyway, doesn't matter. What matters is you get the idea. Okay. So this video is about the all. That is the main point of this video. Is the main point of this video is not the second law of thermodynamics, of course. But yeah, why could be like why the number of why the second law of thermodynamics holds, because the number of possible configurations of a system is increasing. The universe is expanding. Then it's cooling. I mean, even though it's cooling, then there are the different possible energy configurations, different possible spatial configurations, and all of this thing. So I mean, basically why means what the level 1 what was superficial description, level 2 how was description, an explanation but in terms of known concepts. Why level, the level 3 why is a deeper explanation in terms of unknown concepts, or probably trying to dig up on the known concepts which we used to for the level 2 explanation, for the how explanation. So that's kind of a more complete explanation. Like, I know what it is and I know how it happens, but I also know why it happens. Not just how it happens. Okay, it happens because how it happens. Okay, this happen like this. So this is how it happens. But why this happens? I mean, why not some? I mean, why it happens like this and like this? I mean, the why of the how. That is level 3. And the final level, level 4, which I think is the deepest possible level of understanding. That I call the why not level. Why not level means why not something else. I mean, that is the kind of an exploration of alternatives. But to reach this level you have to have a pretty solid concept of level 1, 2 and 3. Because if you don't know what happens, you cannot think about what could have happened otherwise. But going to level 4 is really important in at least one area in your life. Like for me it's physics, for some professional musician it could be music production, for you it could be something entirely different. But this level of why not, it's like you're trying to explore the alternatives, and you can say, okay, I know why it happens, why it happens, what happens in the real world. So why should I care? Why not this or that? Because that will give you more deeper insights about the world as a whole. I know the second law of thermodynamics, and I know how it works, and I also know why it's true. But now if I try to explore why not the universe, suppose why not the entropy decreases or something, or maybe why not it increases, but then probably the universe started in an unlikely state or something. I mean, if I go into these kind of arguments, then all this Boltzmann's brain and all those. But then these are all why not questions. I mean, these are when you go very deep into the topic. These are not required for even for a good understanding of for a fairly good understanding of the second law of thermodynamics. But exploring these questions, at the why not level, will really give you very deep insights about the universe as a whole, and also about the second law, about the topic you're studying. It will give you a broader perspective. That's what I'm telling. So these are the four level of understanding. And yeah, so anyway, that was I guess this four level of understanding was not again strictly relevant to our topic, but still I feel like I covered a lot of important topics in the video. Of course, this video is, again, as with all my videos, it's longer than necessary, but still okay, watch it if possible. And yeah, with that I'd like to end this video. And yeah, we are at unprecedented times in history, and we are at a tipping point, and everything. But we still are in the running. We still have what it takes within our reach to build a brighter future for ourselves. But for that you have to shake away your inactivity and get into action. You have to shake away your apathy and get into action. You have to do something. You meaning from the ones at power, from the billionaires and the authority figures, to you and I, the commoners. All of us have a part to play. And it's no good arguing what power I have over them. If they don't do anything, why should I do? It's no good arguing. Start doing something. Start making a small change in your neighborhood, in your home, or to yourself. Start, but just start doing something. And I guess it will go. And if all of us start doing this, I guess it will go a long way to bring about some real change in the to the entire human race as a whole. And on that positive note, thanks for watching. Goodbye.